Welcome to Nuts and Bolts. I'm Straight Jacket Jim.
And I'm Natty. Hello, welcome
Hey.
everyone.
Yes, welcome in. Thank you so much, Pete and Dan, for that awesome podcast. And we'll take it from here, though, because we got some good esports news for you.
Man, them stepping on our toes with that esports chat, man.
Oh
I
no,
don't
I'm not going to have words about them. I think we need to do the deep dive into what sports we should put in the Olympics.
know.
Well,
Yeah, I think
esports.
so.
Sorry, I'm
We
not.
need to let them know this is our turf,
That's
right?
it.
Because Pete has nothing to do with esports, right?
Apart from being, the general manager of PGG, but we'll.
Yeah,
But
How you going, Jim?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it was actually really cool because I went along with Pete to Planet Royale and saw the little barcadia set up there, and because it's in an old IMAX theatre, looks really cool. Looking forward to some esports events there. But there's lots going on at the moment. Lots of leading into to worldwide events. Lots of tournaments going on at the moment. The Oceania's own LCO was in the middle of their playoffs, but major international event going on at the moment, Six Mexico Major.
That's right. And you said that perfectly right. I'm sorry for confusing everybody last week when we were calling it the Invitational. That was my fault because I forget it's the same as League of Legends. Mid-year is Invitational, end year is the championships or whatever the equivalent is. So yeah, it's been some exciting action happening over in Mexico, and I've been catching some of the action, really enjoying Jess Goat being our Aussie caster over there, manning the desk and taking people through the action, which has been really good.
I know lots of good action. I know they're still playing some games. I'm going to say today, but it's probably still going to be probably overnight our time it'll happen because time zones are a thing. But yeah, so they're coming to the end of the group stages. You can see I've seen there's a few teams that have made it already through, which is amazing to see. But because there's one Group D for Team Liquid that's got 4 outright wins already.
Yeah.
So they're
Four wins.
yeah, that's it. And poor TSM in the same group that's had all 4 losses.
Yeah, poor TSM. I
Yeah.
think it's been really interesting though. Generally speaking, most of the games have been pretty tight. So you're seeing a lot of like 5-7s, a few overtimes, a 6-8s, and things like that. So definitely getting the best in the world there. Still a bit disappointed our Aussie boys couldn't be over there. The Kings didn't get to make it, but still a lot of good action happening.
That's right, a lot going on, and like a good banter and some comments coming back to haunt some people. I saw there was one guy, Virtue from G2. There was a
Twitter
screenshot floating
interaction.
around Twitter
Yeah.
from the 30th of July, so yeah, a month ago. So it's a reasonable amount of time. But basically, there was 2 separate tweets. One that said, "I'm not going to lose to an APAC team. There's no way I move across the world just to lose to an APAC team." So this is, I believe, is an Australian player that's moved. I'm
Yeah,
guessing
that's
to
correct.
North America, most probably. I'm guessing.
Yes. Hang on. I should know where G2 are, and I don't. So you can continue your
Yeah.
story, and I will look that up.
So it's funny. He's made that comment, really not wanting to lose, and guess what's happened? They're in Group C with Damwon Kia, and they lost to Damwon Kia, who is a Korean team. So they've lost to an APAC team, which was very amusing.
That was just hilarious. Good on Danwon Kia bringing it up, and they've been competing really well in the tournament too. So I'll certainly be cheering them on, and maybe a little bit G2 as well. Got to go for the Aussies.
That's right, yeah. Actually, I haven't picked a team. Like, Knights definitely would have been who I was going for if they were competing there, but I have no idea. Although I do kind of like the name Ninjas in Pajamas, so that could be
Ninjas in Pajamas
yeah,
is so good.
I know. I think they might be my team for now, and then we'll decide because I don't think they're going to make it out of the group stages, unfortunately.
No, it's not looking good for them at the
No,
moment. No,
no.
I find it really interesting, the way people decide how they're going to go for an international team. Because for me, when I was following the NBA, it was like, oh, who's got the prettiest uniforms?
Yeah.
Because that's all the intel I really had to go on when I was a teenager getting into it. But yeah, names are a great way to attract some fans. Unicorns
Yeah.
of Love is always going to be
Oh, yeah.
a hot pocket favorite of mine for sure.
Even Space Station Gaming, that sort of speaks to me because I like my sort of space and sci-fi stuff. So that speaks like the rest of them are sort of a little bit like
A bit generic.
yeah, a bit generic for me. Furia all in capitals, so I'm sure that stands for something. Let's have a... But I'm not sure what. But but they're a Brazilian team. See, I feel like a bit of an affinity to the Brazilian fans after how many of them jumped on PGG at MSI.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
Yeah, they showed a lot of support for us and us them. So yeah, I feel the same. Definitely affinity to the Brazilian fans and teams.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting. So tomorrow sometime we should learn who's going through to the... do they go into playoffs? I thought there was another sort of group stage first. Hang on,
so they do groups and then they do
top two teams. Yeah, top two teams go through to the playoffs for the 20th to the 22nd of August. So single elimination bracket. So that'll be really, really cool. So you don't even know really at the moment, looking at the bracket, which team's going to end up versing who. I don't know how they choose who places in what in what group, because I'm looking at like quarterfinals, first place any group, second place any group. So I don't know if they've just got their names in a hat and they'll draw them out.
Draw them out. I know. I think you're looking at the same spot as me. Like for the finals, it's randomized seeding. It looks like, so I'm assuming it's probably the same for the playoffs too.
Yeah. Which does
names in a hat.
Yeah, it does make a bit of sense, because then, like, looking at it now, like you say, there's one outside of Group B, which only has 3 teams in, which makes it easier to qualify, obviously. There's only one other group that's got a team guaranteed to get through to the final with one day left to play. So it definitely, doing it random would make it, because whoever comes up against Team Liquid, who has a 4-0 record at the moment, they're just probably going to be shitting themselves if they see them in the same bracket as their team. It's really interesting, because there are some teams that do have like a map supremacy, so you can kind of end up with like that rock paper scissors situation of this team in a different group would beat Team Liquid, but they would lose to other teams in their own bracket. So yeah, it's always interesting seeing who emerges to the next round, and then when somebody who was smashing their bracket then gets taken down. So be interesting to see. Very, very interesting. Cool. And another thing that was announced recently, in fact, I think it was just today, as a matter of fact, is the Red Bull Wololo. I hope I'm saying that right, because I wasn't a big Age of Empires player myself. But yeah, the Wololo 5 is happening and we got a bit of a trailer. So
when we get back, I'll have to explain Wololo to you.
I have a vague knowledge of that it's like some character in game says something. But anyway, we'll play this and we'll talk about that afterwards.
Live coverage of the Red Bull Wololo. I'll tell you what, the sparks are going to fly. With Leary, that was such a good move. Maybe falling to the relic. He's gonna take the relic! A monastery's already gone down. This is just gonna stall any momentum that Eric can try to attain. Continue to fight on, but I can't see a chance here. There's no way. He's going to keep fighting. And Leary taking it for the second time.
Oh, that looks like fun.
Yeah, just that setting looks amazing. The fact that they're like pulling together a LAN event, I don't know how they're going to do it.
In a castle. In a freaking castle. What the hell?
That's gonna be epic. They always do such a good job of managing to get the best players together for those games. Wololo. Yeah, there's a monk unit or a priest unit equivalent who can either convert to other teams or they can heal your own units. And when they do it, Wololo. So there's lots of memes around about that priest converting people for different things.
Wololo.
Anyway, so that's just exciting, but I'm always super interested when I hear about a LAN event. What are they doing to make it safe for everybody? They're going to make everybody quarantine beforehand. Are people from red zones not going to be able to come? All that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting as it gets closer to find out, if they're doing a bubble situation in the castle.
I did have
you
a
can't
bit
leave
of
the castle.
I did have a bit of a read about it earlier, and I think only the final is happening in the castle. So all the games leading up to it are going to be online. Hang on, promising a grand final in Germany that will include a medieval theme and more alongside the incredible LAN event. So yeah, it does sort of make it sound like it's only going to be the final that's there, but whether that's just the grand final or the final bracket, so they might do 8 or 16 players there. So, but either way, it's cool. And like having an Age of Empires event in a castle, I think you can't get more an appropriate setting than that. Yeah.
And I love the way Red Bull really do that with their events. They find really good LAN spots to do their LAN when they do them. Always really atmospheric. So I'm just really excited. That's going to be so much fun. Especially because pretty much every tournament you see somebody's been squirreling away some secret strategy, and then they'll pull it out.
Yeah.
So it'd be very good to see.
Mm-hmm. Have you played much competitive online RTS?
Some, yeah. I would never say I was ever ranking at any decent level. Like most of my gaming with Age of Empires 2 is just playing with my partner, because he is just fantastic at Age of Empires 2. So I'll go on a team with him and he'll smash the enemies, and I'll just be mining the resources because I can never seem to build my armies fast enough. He's always got 20 units already, and I'm like, I haven't even built a cavalry or
I know. The only one I've done any sort of even remotely competitive, and when I say remotely, I mean I think I got into the second or third lowest tier was in StarCraft 2. Just the way I play RTSs is very much turtle. Build up a big enough force that just goes through and will wipe the enemy base out. But with StarCraft 2, if games were done in 10 minutes, if you weren't paying attention and you weren't building fast enough, then you were done.
Yeah, I always found it crazy watching the professionals playing StarCraft, but professionals playing any of these RTS games, and they're just using all their hotkeys, going mile a minute, screens flicking left, right, center, giving anybody normal like me no idea what's going on. But I do like Age because they do have the observer perspective on it. So for any of their finals, they have really good commentary as well. So T9000 is T900 is one of the key players. He's either commentating or they've got a really good crew explaining the action and saying what's going on. So if anybody's been meaning to jump back into Age and kind of wants to see how the competitive scene is going, this will be a perfect jumping in point for them.
I always find it amazing that games this is Age of Empires 2, so it's an old game and it's still got such a competitive scene.
Oh my god, I'm just looking up now how old it is, because I'm pretty sure it's 20 years old. I think they celebrated their 20-year anniversary. Yeah, initially released 30th of September 1999.
Oh, wow.
But so
I guess
22 nearly.
When you get on a good game though, that's got good mechanics. That's what you do. About the only game out there that has a serious competitive scene for Nintendo, Super Smash Bros. Melee, that came out on the GameCube 20 years ago as well. So it's when you get a good game that's got that good community around it, it just goes and goes.
And I think that's where Age really benefits, because they really engage with their competitive players and they work with them to build updates and manage the meta and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm certainly not an expert in any of this, but I know that the community engagement's really high in Age of Empires too. So that's where they have a leg up on some of these even newer games where they have these big meta shifts. And I just don't think people are here for it. I think people are like the little subtle changes. Even when you introduce a new army in Age of Empires, they seem to not do that power creep thing that happens with most games. Like, they release them and they're slightly more OP than everything else, and then they have to scale them back. They managed to hit the mark pretty well. So
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the magic sauce is, but it's good, and I'm here for it.
Nice. Cool. And the last little bit I have to talk about is the LCO, because we mentioned at the beginning, we're heading to the bit where we've got all these major international competitions happening. LCO in its second night of playoffs. So last night I had Direwolves versus Order for the top bracket, and the Peace and Chiefs for the lower bracket. Surprisingly, best of 5 games. Surprisingly, both games were 3-0.
Yeah. Crazy thinking that's kind of happening at this level, but obviously I think the teams that are pulling it together and getting it together are now showing up. So,
well, I watched the games just quickly this afternoon, and with the Direwolves Order game, the only match in there where Direwolves didn't look in control was the first one, and that got pretty close. But after that, Direwolves were totally in control, and same with Peace. From the get-go, Peace were in control.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Peace team has really got that experience of the ex-Legacy players that went over to NA to play and have come back. So they've got some really good leadership in that team and synergy. So it's really good to see them coming up, and kind of excited for them to see how they go in the finals, because I think they will get there. And obviously PGG's playing tonight against Direwolves.
Yeah, at the moment I've just flicked over to that screen because I've been sort of half watching it while the podcast has been going on. Spoiler alert for anybody that's going to go back and watch the VOD. PGG are up 2-0, and it's then almost 10 minutes into the third game. 2 kills each, no towers down. PGG with about a 300 gold lead, so there's not much in it. It's still laning phase sort of thing, and getting started there. So, but I was watching the first game. I was very surprised with how PGG just turned it around, because Direwolves looked in control for so long, and then bang, PGG turned it on, and the next thing you know, they're taking inhibitors.
Yeah, I always wonder about the psychology of that, whether it's just like there needs to be that little momentum shift, just something happens in your team's favour and your team just pulls together and shifts forward. But I mean, I'm guessing as well, sometimes it is that actual experience or a gold gain that makes the difference. You just get that item, and then your characters are switched on and ready to plough through. So
it can also depend on your composition, though. Like if your draft goes differently to what you're expecting, or maybe this is your backup draft, and what you're trying to get just works a little bit differently, because PGG weren't engaging in the early game, they weren't really going for objectives, and they managed to steal a Baron buff, and it kind of went from, well, not even went from there a little bit, because they were still a little holding back a bit, but at some point, they just must have hit a right level or had the right items, and they just steamrolled.
Oh, so it'd be good to see. So either PGG will pull this last game out, and then they'll win 3-0 as well?
Well, maybe. Yeah, it's too early to tell right now. It's still a really close sort of a game.
Close game.
But
and then who else is playing tonight? There's
Peace and Order, I think.
Yeah.
And so the winner of the PGG Direwolves game will go straight into the grand final on the 31st, I believe. And the loser of tonight will play, or maybe I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember who plays when. No,
I did have it up before.
Yeah.
Now it's gone.
I did as well. But I don't know, because the DoorDash LCO Twitter page conveniently put up a little a bracket.
Oh, a little infographic.
Yeah.
I love.
Here we go.
I love that. There we go.
Yeah. So, Order and Peace don't play until next week.
Gotcha.
So Tuesday next week, Order and Peace play, and then the loser from tonight will play the winner of next week's game the day after that on the Wednesday. And then the winner will get into the grand final and play the winner of tonight's match.
Oh, super exciting.
Oh,
super
yeah.
exciting.
And then the winner of that...
Who's your money on? Can we,
I don't
are we allowed to not back PGG? Will we get fired?
I don't know. We might not get fired, but we might not get spoken to for a while either. But I don't know, like I'm kind of still on the PGG train, because like when I follow something, I pick a team and they're my team, and I pick PGG and they're my team. So I hope they get through, but I hope they don't do it in a clean sweep. And I've actually been quite surprised, because I thought with the experience that PGG would get at MSI and like how they improved their day to day it was incredible. And I honestly thought they were going to come back and just steamroll all the teams here. And then when they took the couple of losses early on, and made it a more interesting league. So,
yeah, this split's been really, really dynamic with all the different matchups going on for sure.
Yeah, and I've still been impressed with the way teams have been able to get wins, and Peace especially. Like they were another one of those teams that sort of had not so good first half of the split, but then they came good, and like I wouldn't be surprised to see PGG and Peace face off in the final again.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking at this point. I mean, you know me, I'm a legacy girl from Adelaide, but they've obviously not made it to this stage. So yeah, it's PGG and Peace of my runner-up teams. So I'm in a very good position at this point.
Yeah. One thing though, and I'll be interested to see your take on this. What do you think the chances of the winner of LCO actually getting to Worlds?
Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think that even like peak COVID last year in China, they were able to sell the government on the fact that they'd made the bubble safe. They made that China bubble, Shanghai. Was it Shanghai? I should remember this. Yeah, I think it was a bubble in Shanghai. They made it safe for the guys, and they were able to prove that case. So I think if they could do it last year, I don't see why it would be any different this year, unless there's some other administrative issue we don't know about. Certainly the political landscape's changed a little bit since last year, and that would probably be my primary concern. If there was something politically going on, which is why they didn't want our team to go over.
I see it more as an internal Australia thing, because I'm not sure, and I must admit I didn't try and read into it too much, but why I didn't see the exact reasons of why the Knights had to pull out going to Mexico. Although I would have put, if I was a betting man, I would have put money on more what they would have had to have done coming back into Australia, because they would have had to hotel quarantine, and that would have been a lot of money that they would have had to outlay. And particularly the way Australia's going at the moment, where we've had a resurgence of COVID on the East Coast. Luckily, Central and Western Australia has not so bad, but a lot of the players are still on the East Coast. So I wonder if that situation having changed will affect their ability to get exit visas and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if you know Alana Pierce, but she's an Aussie that's made it overseas in video games media, and she had a heck of a time getting out of Australia because she came to visit her nephew, one of the two, and then when she was trying to get out, she needed to get a visa renewal, and the embassy closed.
Wow!
There was like massive weeks of delay. She ended up needing to go to some extra country to go to their embassy to get a stamp, so then she could get into the US. It was a nightmare. If anybody's interested in that, she's got a few blogs about it.
Yeah, I did see there was some drama with her getting back here, and I did see a few of the YouTube videos that she does about trying to get out, and I did see one, not that I watched it, but I saw the title of it being like stuck in Australia or something like that. And
yeah, because she's in Brisbane, and then she had to come to Sydney,
Yeah.
and then she couldn't get out from Sydney, and so she was going to try to come to Western Australia. Of course, Western Australia wasn't so keen on
Yeah.
a Sydney person coming to Western Australia.
Yeah.
So to another third country before then going on to the US. So yes,
Yeah,
like I can only
it's-
imagine the difficulties of a whole team, especially young kids. Like if they're younger players as well, maybe their parents might have some concerns about them traveling at the moment
Yeah.
too, which is something you don't really think about too much. So
Could be trying to get a passport. That's like
yeah.
some of these guys might not have passports, but at least PGG went over to Iceland earlier this year, so their passports would still be good.
Hopefully they're all prepared.
Yeah.
If they're not, they should be getting on that.
That's right. That's touch wood though. We don't want to count our chickens before they hatch. We've got to get through this. Although it's looking a bit better in this game now. Sorry, I've still got it up and half watching it.
No,
They're,
that's all right.
11 kills to 3 with a 6k gold difference now.
Oh,
So
there you go. Yeah, pulling away.
Yep. So that looks like that may be a 3-0 win there as well. But I'm going to stop watching that and pay attention to this because
I think we did have a little bit of other LCO news we just wanted to cap off, didn't we? Just following up on what you and Reflex spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so there was a couple of things. The first bit, Reflex and I spoke about 2 weeks ago now about the Chiefs' behaviour in a game against Mammoth where Mammoth were on the ropes and Chiefs could have quite easily gone into the base, taken the Nexus and ended the game, but instead they refused to and just did their own thing. It wasn't a good look for the league. It wasn't a good move by the Chiefs. It just looked, they were dragging out the game with no purpose. And there was a lot of stuff on social media about it. But during the week, there has been a ruling from the LCO, and it's been that the Chiefs have been fined $2,500 for unsportsmanlike behaviour there. So was it the TLDR, which is officially on the website for the announcement? I love that. Chiefs.
They're getting straight to the point. I appreciate that.
That's it. Chiefs displayed unsportsmanlike behaviour inconsistent with the expectations of competitive integrity in the LCO. Chiefs players have had their disciplinary status escalated, and the Chiefs have been fined $2,500, which where it donated, I believe.
To the Smith family. The Chiefs were able to nominate the charity that it went to, which I thought was good.
Yeah, so do I. I think that was really good.
I was really interested on how the announcement came out and kind of how it was a bit delayed, because I wondered if that was a local decision that was made or if it did kind of go up the chain and, the higher ups in League of Legends esports went, we need to make sure that doesn't happen again and set the stance that that's not appropriate. So
it did take a while because it was a good week and a half between it happening and the sanction coming down. It was a decent amount of time.
Yeah, so that's kind of what made me think that might have been the other thing that we were discussing as well, that they might have been waiting for the voice comms to come through, because that's kind of, I think, what killed the Chiefs there was, just not the most respectful chatter, talking about padding their kills and stuff like that. So that's obviously not what you want to see in competitive play. So.
No, that's not, especially when you're that far ahead. Like poor Mammoth this season, they had one win, I think, 1 or 2 wins. So it's not nice in any sport. And I know at the time, Reflex and I sort of had the discussion about it because I play social hockey. Like, I'm not serious about it, but there have definitely been times where we've been beating sides by a lot. Like a couple of weeks ago, we had a 6-0 win, which is huge. But the difference between traditional sports like that is there's generally a time limit associated with it. So you can only flog the dead horse for so long before the game finishes. But in League of Legends case, and in pretty much most esports, if you don't complete the objective, then it keeps going.
Yeah, well, that raises a really interesting point, because you imagine that there would be some kind of hard game limit, right? You assume that games, they would stop them at some point. and not let them go on infinitely.
Yeah,
That's something I don't know though. I'll have a Google.
But actually,
before the
yeah.
next week.
Now that I think about it though, because games like Valorant have a timer. So if you don't set your bomb in a certain amount, like the defenders win and stuff like that. And even things like PUBG and your Fortnites have the circle, so it gets smaller and smaller. So they've got methodologies in place to stop that from happening. And Warzone as well is the same. Your circle gets smaller and smaller. Even one of the newcomer on the scene, Pokemon Unite, has their 10-minute games. Yeah, they're 10-minute games.
Oh my god, so good. Sorry.
I know, I've been loving that. I haven't played it for a while. I really need to play some more, but I was having so much fun with it.
You can tell it's been made for kids and for busy adults when the game time is 10 minutes.
Yeah. Part of me wants a game, because they've got the quick play mode, which is reduced player sets. Like instead of 5v5, it's 4v4 or 3v3. And they only go for 5 minutes.
Oh,
so that
more speed.
Yeah, that unlocks a certain level, but it's not as structured. So it's more. Well, I'm not seeing a structure to the quick games just yet. It's very sort of open and about. So, yeah. But the other
if anybody's
sorry,
just on Pokemon Go, if anybody's looking for good players to watch, a lot of the old players that were playing Heroes of the Storm have really jumped onto Pokemon Go. So Hots Fan, if you look for them on Twitch, they've been running with professional Hots teams and stuff.
Nice.
And just it's kind of funny because at the earlier levels they were like, oh, we're just beating kids, we kind of feel bad, but now they're getting to the higher levels and you're really seeing some strategy, exactly the same you see with League of Legends and any other MOBA. What creeps do you go and kill to maximize your opportunities to score, and do you go in as a mob or do you try and sneak in, all this kind of strategy coming into play. So
I must admit, even me, I haven't, like I said, I haven't played for a couple of weeks, but I was maining a slowpoke and always going the top route. So you'd always bolt out of the gates and there'd be someone else that had come along as well, and you had the enemies that you'd hit along the top lane, so that hopefully by the time you got to where your zones were, you were probably about level 3, 4. So that was that's good fun. And I've been enjoying it a lot. And once again, I do need to get back into that. But just quickly as well for our Perth viewers, for the final of the LCO on the 31st of August, which is a Tuesday, Pentanet.gg are actually putting on an event at Grand Cinemas in Warwick. So regardless of who's in there, they're going to be having that event. So if you want to go along and watch the final, it'll be there. And they've got it's on their Pentanet.gg's Facebook page. You can have a look under the events there, and there's be more info if you want to go and watch that.
Excellent. I need to try and hassle people in Adelaide to organise something. I know it's not as exciting because Legacy aren't in it, but it's got to be. Yeah, I got to go rattle some cages, see what we can do, get some viewings happening, because I just don't want to leave it till Worlds when everybody wants to stay up until 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning.
Well, depends. Where are Worlds? Where is it being held this time?
Oh, yeah, China, 99% sure.
That's all right. They're our time zone, aren't they? Well, close enough to.
Well, closer.
Sorry. By our time zone, I mean Perth time zone. I'm pretty sure they're.
Yeah. I will look that up for next time. That's 2 things for next time I need to look up. What was the last thing we wanted to talk about? Oh, World of Tanks.
Oh, yes. Sorry. How can I forget World of Tanks? So last week they had their draft for the ANZPL. So that's really good. They'll be coming up soon. So keep an eye for that starting up. But also they're going to be running their B division, or better division as they like to call it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you say better intentionally?
Yeah. No. That's that.
Yeah.
That's
that's
what
awesome.
That's what it's colloquially known as. So, but so last year they had 4 teams competing in that. With the leftovers from the draft for the ANZPL and they've opened up the draft again. So if you're a World of Tanks player and you want to try and get into the B League, you can check that out on the World of Tanks website as well, and register for the season 2 of the ANZ BL league. So that'll be cool. So that's
there you go.
They also announced during the draft last week as well that they're getting in with AEL, so Australian Esports League, and have got a uni comp running as well. So if you're in uni, you got 3 or 2 mates that you want to get in with, check it out at your local uni and see if you can get a team together and do a 3v3 comp in World of Tanks there.
Lots of options.
Really good. I love seeing the esports getting into unis. Like that's your grassroots level. That's pretty much where those players are going to start coming up and then start getting into the bigger leagues as well. So it's really cool to see that reaching out into the unis with AEL.
Well, I mean, that's what we saw recently with the Red Bull Valorant campus clutch that happened recently. That was a huge international event, and uni based. So certainly, as you say, a good place for finding the esports stars of the future.
That's it.
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't know too much about it, and I have to have a look into it. But are there many? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard of a few high school esports team. Like Pete used to be involved with a group here called Flak Test Gaming, which I think did a little bit of that.
There's Meta, high school gaming, and ESL. AEL do high sports as well. Yeah. So you've got AEL and Meta. They're the 2 that I know of in Australia. So, but there's lots of little tiny grassroots pocket things happening. So small how you had your inter-school sports days and stuff where it'd be 5 or 6 schools. Lots of those kind of pockets of things happening around the spots too, which is good.
Cool. And once again, spoilers. If you don't want to know how the PGG game's going, turn away.
Put
your hands over your ears. PGG took the 3rd game, so that's another 3-zip win.
Wow! No way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never, not in a million years, would have thought that it would have been like that. Yeah. Not against Direwolves.
No. I quickly flicked over and they were killing the Nexus. That's what it was, and it was 27 kills to single digits. It was crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so that's breaking esports news right there. Pentanet.gg into the grand final for LCO.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
Yep. Cool. But that's about it.
We possibly even beat Pete on Twitter.
Hey, we probably did. Hang on, that's. But yeah, no, that's about it. That's all I have for tonight. We're definitely going to have a chat with Pete though, because I really want to have a chat about esports at the Olympics, because I would really like to sort of do a bit more of a deep dive into that ourselves. And
there's definitely a post-Olympics a lot of discussion happening. There always is whenever Olympics comes around, and Japan did want to support a lot of stuff that just ended up falling through because of COVID. But it'll be interesting to see, in 3 years where we'll be as a international planet with people from all over the place, if we'll be able to get it together for some esports lands.
That's it. Or if not, we'll just start petitioning Brisbane now for their 2032 games.
Yes, I don't see why not.
That's it.
We've got some boots on the ground there. We can get Zulu and Skittles onto it.
Yeah, nice, cool. But thanks again for joining us, everyone. Great to have you here. And yeah, we'll see you next time for Nuts and Bolts.
Thanks, Jim. Good night.
Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you're seeing, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.